surprise in Arizona. Hope you're having a super fantastic sparkling day. Welcome to Before the Dirt Nap podcast number 2047, Finding Treasures and Other Things. And on the other things side, my apologies for being so late. I totally forgot that with daylight, so even though we are in Arizona and Arizona doesn't change for daylight savings, my podcast time does change. It's still at 6 p.m. Pacific, but when I'm not in daylight savings, I'm doing it at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. But of course, when we go into daylight savings, it's at 6 p.m. So I apologize for being on so late. But anyway, so I hope everybody else had a really super fantastic sparkling daylight savings day. I know you lost an hour of sleep last night. I had a great night's sleep. Well, actually, no, I got woken up twice. Once to let the dog out, and once because she needed the light on to get on the bed. But that's okay. So I tell you, it's just been one of those days. Everything's been off today. Even though for me the times haven't changed, it's just that when I do certain things have changed. So now that my work is now an hour ahead of me, I have to remember, because in Arizona, we're now the same time as Pacific, just to really confuse people. But it means that when I'm looking at Mountain Daylight Time, I've got to remember to subtract an hour. So yes, I now start work an hour earlier. I finish work an hour earlier. It's a whole kabobble thing. Yes. I just wish these people make up their minds about time. But anyway, we're here. We made it. We've had a quiet day, productive day though. Made a really yummy dish with ground meat and tomato paste and some seasonings and some quinoa thrown in there, and it was just really good. And I made enough I put it in more of my little omelet pan, but there was enough in there that it's gonna do me at least three meals. Maybe more, who knows? But anyway, we also did some sorting. We're back into sorting things out now too. So of course, yes, those of you who have tuned in for a while know that I'm a post-it-aholic. Look at these beautiful colors that I found today. Aren't they gorgeous? Got the neon pinks in there. There's the bright blues, the lime greens. I just saw this and I thought, oh, happy colors. So we found some happy colors today. But what was really, I have to tell you, I watched the Woodhall interview last night on Roots Tech. That was really, really cool. You can still go to Roots Tech and register for the Shares event and go back and watch all of the videos and things from all the different things. But this couple is so sweet, so amazing. She won the gold at the Olympics for long jump, and he won the Paralympic gold for, I think, the 400 meters. But what an amazing couple they were. And they did an interview style. So they had the guy sitting there asking them questions and stuff about how they met and what that moment was like. And of course, everybody knows the moment when she wins the gold in the long jump and she just goes straight for her husband, who bends over the railing and just scoops her up. And they showed that scene happening, and they said, what was that moment? She said, well, I knew where he was sitting. And she said, as soon as I realized what had happened, she says, I just made a bet. She said, nothing else mattered. He was the only person that she could see at that time when she went sprinting across the field to go and give him a great big hug and that sort of, and so they could celebrate together. Really, really cool moment. But their story was really cool, amazing. We learned how they met, and it was basically love at first sight, at least for one of them. Although the other one thought he was quite fine. But just an amazing company. And then they had somebody from Family Tree Search come out and talk about the determination, where their determination and their resilience and their competitiveness came from that made them the strong people that they are. And so that was really cool. They got some basic information from them, from the husband and the wife, got information from them. Then they did some research and came out and told them a little bit about their story and the people that have been, who some of their ancestors were and where their fight and determination and competitiveness came from, which was really cool. And they were just blown away by what was found. So that was really cool. But anyway, so today we got into some sorting. And like I said, I found my Post-it notes. They're always good things. But I opened this box and I was going through it and I went, oh my gosh, I haven't seen this box since, we hadn't been into this box since we left Virginia. And we left Virginia in 2010. But I pulled this out and what the heck's the King's Arms? This is the King's Arms. And then I went, oh, Williamsburg. So this is a tote that I got from with the King's Arms thingy on it in Williamsburg. We went and visited there in 2005. And I'll tell you the exact dates in a moment. And I thought, what the heck is in here? What did I buy? Which means I have not touched this since we were in Williamsburg. Or maybe I have. I don't know. But I had a look in here. And I came across... oh, there's something stuck to that one. The 2 empty bags for my shopping. So obviously I did some shopping, put them into a better bag. What else was in here? I don't know what that was from. A collectible magnet, which is of the King's Arms magnets, which may actually be on my filing cabinet over there. It is. Yeah, it's there. So this was the thing that the King's Arms Tavern magnet was on. It's over there on my filing cabinet. I'm not going to get up and go get it. Oh, where did I get? I did not get that one in Williamsburg, did I? This is I am a descendant of the Ross clan in Scotland, and this is a fridge magnet with the Ross coat of arms on it, and that's probably going to get all the lighting on it. But that's the Ross coat of arms. So that was in here. I didn't realize that was in there. Then there was this book. This is the cover of the book. This is the cover of the book. What it states on here is, oh, and I want you to notice too, I'm going to show you in a second. The servant's directory, improved or housekeeper's companion, wherein the duties of the chambermaid, nurserymaid, housemaid, laundrymaid, scullion, or undercook are fully and definitely explained, to which is added cookery and pickling, sufficient to qualify a person to act as a thorough servant in any family. Also, a table is, is cast up, a table to cast up expenses or wages by day, week, month, and year. Likewise, a meat market book and many other particulars fit to be known by the mistress of the family. The 4th edition by H. Glass, the author of the Art of Cookery, made plain and easy, and Dublin printed by J. Potts and Swift's Head in Dame Street. Oh heck, 1800 and no, hang on. See, that's I can't remember my Roman numerals. That's 1700 and no, 1819. The last 2 digits are 12, so this might be 1812. I'll have to go look it up. But I want you to notice here on this, when you have a look at the print on here, let's see if we can see that. See how it says housekeeper, but it looks like an F. Back in those days, when it looked like an F, it could actually be an S, because sometimes when they had 2 S's next to each other, this probably won't show it very well. No, it won't show it very well because it's so tiny. They used to write one that looked like an F, like a small F. So that says housekeeper. That's from the type. But what this booklet has is the contents. The contents are horrendous, I tell you. It's got part 1, the chambermaid, and it's got everything in here on how to clean and what the chambermaid's duties are. Then it's got part 2, the housemaid, and all of her duties. Useful directions for marketing, how to choose mutton, how to choose lamb, how to choose veal, how to choose beef, how to choose pork, how to choose brawn. What is brawn? Okay. Oh, they've got funny page numbers on here. How to choose venison. How to, the season for venison. How to choose hams. I've got to remember, because it looks like it says CHOOFE when it's SE. How to choose ham, how to choose bacon, how to choose butter, how to recover butter when turned to oil. How to choose cheese, eggs, poultry, rabbit or coney, pigeons, how to choose fish. I thought it said filth for a second. But this, and then it's got this thing about pickling, the nursery maid's duties, the laundry maid's duties, how to clean pewter, tin, and copper. Page 45. The page numbers are really weird in here. Take a pail of wood ashes, either from the baker's dyers or the hot presses, and the later is, oh jeepers, I'm not even going to try and read that. It's, yeah. How to clean candlesticks. So it's all in here. Everything somebody who was a maid in a house that needed to know how the household was run, what everybody's duties were all in this little booklet. And this one here is the market table. I don't even know what half of this says. It's just a thing of numbers. But it makes, and it is interesting reading. You're going to have to sit for a while because you have to get used to seeing small f's as s's and small f's as f's. So that was interesting. Oh, this is a good one. The Book of the Founding Fathers. So, and it cost me $5.95. It's still on the back there. A reference and souvenir volume with portraits and biographies. So like if we open up here, oh, William Livingston of New Jersey. There is his portrait. There is his bio by years. And then here's the thing about, there's the stuff about him. And it was born in November the 30th in 1723 in Albany, New York. Graduated from Yale College in 1741. Yale's been around that long? Oh. Admitted to the bar in 1748. In 1752 to 53, he published The Independent Reflector. 72, he retired from law practice. 74, he was a member of the Committee of Correspondence. 74 to 76, he was a member from New Jersey Continental Congress. 1776, a brigadier general for New Jersey militia. 1776 to 90, he was the governor of New Jersey. 1787, delegate to the Constitution Convention, and he died on the 25th of July, 1790 in Elizabethtown, New Jersey. And then this is his life story written out here. Pretty cool. And it's got all the founding fathers in here. Who else have we got in here? They got alphabetical by last name. John Dickinson, Benjamin Franklin, Elbridge Gerry. It's a very distinguished looking gentleman. Alexander Hamilton of New York. He's the one that the musical's after, based on. John Hancock. He's the one that's wanted to make sure that the king knew whose signature was on the Declaration of Independence. Benjamin Harrison, Patrick Henry, John Jay. These faces look very familiar for some reason. Thomas Jefferson, William Johnson, Rufus King. There's just a whole bunch of there's two Pickneys in here. Pickneys. There's Charles Pickney of South Carolina and Charles Cotsworth Pickney of South Carolina as well. Were they brothers? Were they twins? Born the 25th of February, 1746. No, one's slightly older than the other. I'm 57. So yeah, so this is a book of all the founding fathers and everything else. Oh, there's George Washington in there. There's beautiful portraits in here. And the last one in here is James Wilson of Pennsylvania. So that's going to make really good reading because it talks about what happened to them and everything else in there. And then the last thing in this bag, this is the coolest bit. I was browsing through this earlier, is the official guide to Colonial Williamsburg. This place is absolutely amazing. It is one of those places where it's a living colonial town. When you go into Colonial Williamsburg, you see people walking around in costume. You go into like we walked into the wig maker's shop, and there was a woman sitting behind the thing there talking as they talked back in 17 whatever it was. because that Williamsburg was around for a little bit of a time before the Declaration of Independence and after it. And they had a woman sitting there making wigs, and she spoke to us about these and thous and yols and all of that sort of stuff in there. And she was sitting there making a wig, and she was trying to talk Brad, my 6'5" husband, into buying a wig that would look very fine on him. Yes. So in here, and I know there's stuff in here, so I can tell you the exact dates we were there was August 22nd to the 28th of 2005. This is the program for the week. What's in the program? Everything you need to know. So this side is, it folds out. Some people won't even know what this is. It's probably all digital now. I prefer the paper one. So this side is the map of where everything is. And on the back is all of the events that are happening that week. Oh yeah, we did the tavern. Did we do the tavern ghost walks? So the ghost walk one we did? Yeah, we did. We did the tavern ghost walks. It was really cool. So this was we were there the 22nd through the 28th. We actually had at the time we owned a Marriott timeshare, and they had one there at Colonial Williamsburg, which was a short drive away, and we were parked by the visitor center and then wandered down into the old town and everything else. And it was really cool. We got passes for the week, so we didn't have to buy tickets for anything. We had the passes that included tickets to every event. And we did, and they've got it broken down by different hours of the day, different places where you could go see different things, and walking tours and all of that. But the evening performances were exceptional. So one evening we went to where did we go? We went to the tavern, the King's Arms Tavern. We went there for dinner one night. It was amazing. And of course, they're all dressed in costume from that time, all dressed in clothing from that time period. And they are serving meals that would have been served during that time. And like they bring out this pewter platter, that's this big round platter, and it's got all these little dishes on it. And it's all the different preserves and jams and sauces that they had during that time that you would have with your meal. And so they would ask you which one you want. And they had these little silver spoons in them, and they put it out on your plate and all that sort of stuff, and scoop it onto your plate. And you got that before you got the food. So that was kind of interesting, but it was a lot of fun. Food was great. It was awesome food. The meat was very, very tender. It was good. So we actually did it 2 nights. So on Tuesday night? No, on Monday night we went to go a pirating at the Capitol, and you meet John Vidal and Martha Farley, who were accused of piracy in 1727. And it says, become part of the courtroom drama as it unfolds. Well, we get in, so we lined up, we have to line up, we get taken in, and we walk into this room, and there's this big chair sitting at the top of this horseshoe with all these, the top of this horseshoe, and there were people actually sitting up there. And we were towards the front of the line, but we weren't up there. But over to the side here was these rows of benches. So we sat on the benches, and we were the jury, and then everybody else got to. So if you were first in line, you got to sit up on one of the 12 seats on the horseshoe. If you were next in line, you got to sit in the jury area, and then everybody else got to sit in the public area. I would tell you, these pirates, Martha and John, the banter that went backwards and forwards, and the way they were accusing each other, they were throwing each other under the bus like crazy. It was absolutely hilarious. It was a lot. What the heck was that? I don't know. It's trash. It was a lot of fun and very, very entertaining. And we went to the early showing of that, which was at 7:30. Then the next one we went to, and then I think it was Wednesday. Did we do that Wednesday? Yes, Wednesday. We decided to go back Wednesday. So Tuesday night we did the ghost walk, which was really cool. And even though you're walking through these places at night, the storytellers were amazing. They were able to tell a story in such a way that you felt like you had eyes from somewhere else watching you. And you're kind of like looking over your shoulder all the time to see if there's anything there. They didn't do anything to frighten anybody. It was the wording that they used that put the suggestion in your head that there are ghosts around. And I remember we had this one, we were in the fabric store. Can't remember the milliner's store. and they've got like all of these cabinets, all these fabrics behind it, and there's a woman, we go in and there's a woman behind the counter, and she's busy rolling up the fabric and getting ready to put it away and all of that sort of stuff. And she starts telling us her story, her life story. She starts telling her life story and about how she's missing her children and all this blah, 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 blah. And I cannot remember what she said at the end as she exits and goes out to the back of the store. But I'm just sort of like, holy crap, we're sitting here talking to a ghost. They made it that believable that it was sort of like, as she walks out, it's sort of like, hang on, was she a ghost? Or it left you questioning. It was very, very well done. The storytellers were amazing. And they just used their words to help, their words, their body language, their facial expressions to take you into that thing that it was possible that they might have actually been ghosts and not an actual person standing there telling you a story. Very, very good. But the one that intrigued me the most was the one we went to on Wednesday night, and it was called Cry Witch. And Cry Witch was at the Capitol. Again, it was a case trial. So we knew this time to be close to the front. We were actually first in line. So it's to participate in a recreation of the dramatic trial of Grace Sherwood, weigh the evidence, and determine the guilt or innocence of the Virginia witch. So this was not going to be a lighthearted one like the pirate one was. This was going to be a very serious one. So we were at the front of the line. We got taken in. I was sitting next to the judge or the magistrate, and he's the guy that sits in the big throne-like chair. I was sitting on his left, and then Brad, and then Josh, our youngest one, was sitting next to us. And then everybody else filed in and got filled at the rest of the seats, and the jury seats got filled in, and then the general public seats got filled in. And then they bring in this woman who is all dressed in black, and I think she had the white collar around, but dressed in the period from that time. And she has always fascinated me. And what was interesting is that we saw this in August 22nd to 28th of 2005, the following year. So let me tell you a little bit about Grace Sherwood. I've got a little bit of her history here. So Grace Sherwood was known as the Witch of Pungo, was a Virginia woman accused of witchcraft in the early 1700s. She was the last person in Virginia to undergo a trial by water as a witch. So she was born around 1660 in the Virginia colony, and she was a midwife, a healer, and a farmer in Pungo, which is modern-day Virginia Beach. She was known for her strong-willed nature, knowledge of herbs, and her ability to work with animals. The accusations: Grace was accused multiple times of witchcraft, including bewitching livestock, damaging crops, and causing a miscarriage. In 1706, her neighbors officially charged her, leading to a trial by water, a method where the accused was thrown into the water. If they floated, they were guilty. So the trial by water on July 10th, 1706, she was bound and thrown into the Lynnhaven River. She floated, which was seen as proof of guilt, as it was believed water rejected witches. Instead of execution, she was imprisoned for several years. After her release, Grace returned to her farm and lived until about 1740. They're not exactly sure of her exact date of death, because she basically just locked herself away on the farm. She lived as a recluse on her farm. Over time, her reputation shifted from witch to folk hero. In 2006, so this was after. So let me tell you about 2006. I'm sitting there, I'm reading the newspaper, and this little article catches my eye. And I read this little article, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I said to Brad, I said, you remember last year when we were at Williamsburg? He goes, yeah. And I said, we went to the witch trial. He goes, yeah. I said, there's an article here. So this is 2006. I can't remember the date it was actually put there. I just did a very quick bullet point thing on her life. I said, he goes, yeah. I said, it's in here that the Virginia's governor has officially pardoned her. He's like, what? I said, yeah. I said, she got pardoned. Like 400 years later, well, 300 years later, she was officially pardoned. And a statue of Grace Sherwood stands in Virginia Beach as a tribute to her resilience. And her story reflects the fear of independent women in colonial times and remains one of Virginia's most famous tales of witchcraft. So yeah, so we got to see the retrial of that. And of course, I wasn't thinking as a person back in 1706 when we did that, when they did the trial. I was thinking of a person there in 2005 thinking, witchcraft, are you serious? You know, but we listened to everything, and they had and like the magistrate sitting there with his papers and all that sort of stuff, and he's got his script all written there and everything else, because I could read over his shoulder. So what else have we got in this book? But yes, that story has always fascinated me. So, and I'm not sure why it fascinates me so much, but I think it's just because of the injustice and the fact that we sat at this court hearing and listened to all the evidence that was presented, which was the same that was presented in 1706, and they brought the witnesses in and everything else. And she just stood there and just took it all very quietly. And when it was given her chance to speak, she said she wasn't guilty of anything. So also in this book, but that story fascinated me. And then to see, you know, a few months later in the newspaper in the following year was that she had been pardoned only 300 years late. But, you know, that's how it goes. Also in here, this was the, this was the weekly activities calendar at the, I think it's called Manor Ford. It's the Marriott timeshare that's at Williamsburg. So this was our weekly calendar, and it's split up into ages. Each column is a different age. So you've got 2 to 4-year-olds, 5 to 12-year-olds, 13 to 18-year-olds, the adult, and all age. This is the all ages one. Did we do anything there? I don't know if we actually did anything. I think we just spent out each day in Williamsburg. And we had the guide to dining and shopping, which told you all the things. And in this book, goes through and talks about Williamsburg. It has maps in there, and it takes you, to different portions of the map. Takes you to different portions of the main map, which is that big fold out thing. And you got listed down here what's what, and then you can go through the book and it will tell you, it will give you the history of that particular spot, that particular shop, that particular business, and any famous people in Williamsburg that were known well known in Williamsburg for that, and what and it'll give you their backstory, like who was the blacksmith in town and what was his story. And so this actually brings that time period in the 1600s into the late 1700s alive for you. We also got to see, who did we get to see? We got to see Thomas Jefferson. So they have these people who are in character. The moment they put those costumes on and they step outside of their dressing room, they are in character. There was George Washington's wife, there was George Washington, there was Thomas Jefferson. Those are the only 3 that I can remember, but we got to see Jefferson twice. Once was after the Declaration of Independence. No, once was before the Declaration of Independence. And then the second time we got to see him was in the garden of the governor's house, which is out the back of the governor's house. And we're all sitting on these benches. And the guy next to me was telling me that the last time he was at Williamsburg was in 2001 after 9/11 had happened. And they had George Washington as the person that they were conversing with. And they did like a Q&A with George Washington. But they had to put everything in the context of what it was when George Washington was alive. They couldn't talk about planes. They couldn't talk about towers. They had to talk about the attacks from these other countries, but couldn't exactly say how they happened, because George Washington at that time had no concept of towers and planes and cities and things like that. So they had to put it in. They had to put it into his time period. So taking something like 9/11 and putting it in so that somebody from his time period could understand what they were talking about, and then got his feedback on that. And he said it was really good about how this guy just deflected. He's like, I'm sorry, but I have no idea what you're talking about. And they would talk in the language of that time. So we got to see George. We didn't get to see George Washington. We got to see Thomas Jefferson, and we got to see him before. Hang on, let me go back to my little directory thing here, because they're all in here. All the character ones are in here. They had. This is going to take forever to walk through here. Oh, you had an audience with Patrick Henry. We didn't do that one. But the Thomas Jefferson one was really cool, because we're out the back. And so the character comes out as Thomas Jefferson. And I have a friend, the guy I used to be in a BNI group with, who actually does Abraham Lincoln. Gets into it, like when they're in costume, they are completely immersed in that character. They're an immersion character. Just trying to quickly see if I can see. Oh, yeah, here it was. It was on Friday. We had a public audience with Thomas Jefferson at the governor's palace garden, weather permitting. Enter through the east gate. And this one that we saw in the governor's garden was him riding around the country telling them that they had signed the Declaration of Independence. So this was around August of 1776. I think they told us August, September timeframe of 1776. They're riding around the colonies. They're telling them they've signed this Declaration of Independence and talking about it and what it's going to mean to everybody and all of this sort of thing. And yes, it could bring on war and da 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 da. So he's busy there going on and touting his news, when all of a sudden, behind the hedge at the back of the garden, a train goes past on the train tracks. And he turns around and he looks at this, and he looks back at us, and he looks back at this thing, and he goes, that seems to be an interesting contraption. It moves rather quickly. I think I might invest in that. That was his interruption by a train. Of course, they didn't have them back then, so it was very interesting. But it was a great week, and I'm glad I found that, because this brought back a lot of memories of going to Colonial Williamsburg and finding the book and all the different things that are in here. And this is a book to treasure, because we've got some great memories from that week. It was awesome. And so those are definitely coming home to New Zealand with me. So with that, I got a dog to go walk, because I was actually busy getting ready to walk the dog when I suddenly realized that, like, oh yeah, it's 6 o'clock. I'm supposed to be online. So with that, we are out of here. Yeah, that was basically all we had for today. So learn your history. I mean, I was reading one of them. What was I reading? I don't remember. Well, George Mason's in there too. There's a lot of names in here that I recognize because they're names after universities. James Madison's in there as well. And I've read different versions of different things over the years. So this is sort of like one of the books. So it's just got the brief bios in here. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm actually probably not going to read that before that, but it's definitely coming back to New Zealand with me, because it's one of those. It's something from something that we did that we had a lot of great memories that week. We walked a lot during that week. We would sit down the night before, work out what we were going to go and see the next day, and kind of plan our days. We'll have a lazy start here this morning. Tomorrow we'll have breakfast here, then we'll go there. And there's a couple of times we had lunch there, and they had like this cafe type place, of course, all in costume period, but they sold like salads and sandwiches and things like that. And then they had this big outdoor picnic area. Some of it was under shelter, some of it was not, but the shelter being like canvas, those square sail shade things. But they had shaded areas and non-shaded areas, because it was August, it was hot, it was humid. So we actually worked out, how much time we're going to spend walking because of the heat and the humidity. We had to stay hydrated. And so we would look to see what was on. And some of the times we would have finished thinking, well, what's on next? Where can we go next? And we'll have a look at the thing, go, let's just go back and have a snooze. And we quite often took naps in the afternoon, went back for an afternoon nap. And then because we wanted to go back and do the court thing that evening, or something, the dinner. So one evening we did the Pirates court case. Another evening we did the ghost walk. We did the witches court case. We did a night at the tavern for dinner at the King's Arms. I can't remember what we did the other 3 nights. Yeah, because we checked in on I think we checked in for Friday to Friday. Maybe it was Saturday to Saturday. It was either Saturday to Saturday or Friday to Friday. I can't remember which, but it was one of those 2 days. And it must have been, something like that. I can't remember our actual check-in date, but I could go back and find out very easily. But that's okay. But it's good to see things like this, because now you have information and things like this, because now you've got information. If you had ancestors that used to live in places like Colonial Williamsburg, going through this area, we got to watch the fife bands as well, the bands and the fife players, the little piccolo. These little thingies that they blow in. I actually got one of those, and I can actually get a note out of it. You got to really blow into it the right way. But going through experiences like this, if you've got ancestors from that time period in that area, it gives you a great insight as to what their life was like back then, so that you can then go and it gives you their story. So it's part of the things that you can then use for part of their story, because now you have that, and you know that during that time period, this is what life was like for them. And you can, experiencing the court cases, listen to the ghost stories. There's a lot of different, listening to these historical figures talking and things like that, that you get a sense of what things were like during that time. And so you're sort of like, oh, well, when my ancestor lived here during that time or in this area during that time, now you've got more of a perspective of what things were like. And of course, then they talk about the historical stuff that happened, especially when you're talking with the immersion characters like Patrick Henry, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and Mrs. Washington. Sorry, I can't remember her first name. When they're talking about what's going on at that time, it gives you a sense of what it was like for your ancestors to live during that time and some of the challenges they may have overcome, and things like that. So this is why I'm so passionate about telling stories and learning the history so that you get to understand some of the things that your ancestor went through, because there is stuff that they went through that is going to develop some of their character and stuff that's going to get passed as traits down through families. And people think that traits like perseverance, determination, competitiveness, the no surrender thing, just any traits like that can get passed down through your genes. So why not go learn about some of the people in history? Like the couple last night, Tara, she found out that her great-grandfather became a boxer later in life, and there's actually an arena. Oh, where was the arena? Was it Georgia? There's a place that is actually some sort of arena or something that's actually named after him, which she didn't realize, and she didn't realize that she had heard that he was a boxer, but just didn't realize how big of a boxer he actually was. And they actually show photographs of this display within the center that is named after him, that was from his boxing career. So just learning about things like that, that's where some of her determination and competitiveness came from. So you never know. It's sort of like, why am I like this? Or why is our family like this? Go check out your family history, learn the stories about your ancestors and things, because you're going to find that you're not the first person that's in your family that's done that, or the reason that you're doing that is because it's in your genes. So go check it out. Go check out your family history. Tell your stories. They brought a guy on who's from storage, which I'm actually going to go and investigate and have a look at that, because it looks really, really cool. But it's a way that you can tell your story. And I better go sign up for it too, because I got a 50% thingy off because I was online. But they had a special for everybody that was present and went to their booth, got a book for free, got their book written for free. And for those of us that were online, we were given a code. And if we go to their booth online, we can type that code in and we get 50% off. So I figured I'm going to go check that out, because it's one of those things where you can go tell your own story. Or you can, if you're researching your family history and you're learning the story of your ancestors, it is a way for you to tell the stories of your ancestors so that other family members can read it as well. But with that, I'm out of here. I got a dog that needs to go walking, and I might need to go put my reflective jacket on. But anyway, go out, have a super fantastic sparkling evening. I promise tomorrow night I'll be on time. Actually, no, I won't. I'll be on at 6:30 tomorrow night, because I'm just still in room. It's Monday tomorrow. I have my class on tomorrow. But go out, have a super fantastic sparkling evening, and we'll catch you guys